afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Kristen Dorr. I'm the Integro webinar moderator. If you're new to us or Integro or our webinar series, we do monthly webinars and we always keep them to 30 minutes. Today we have quite a few gentlemen on the line with us to talk about content enrichment to help you improve findability and make your content more actionable. In a moment, Scott Burt will be introducing our presenters, but before he does, I just want to remind you guys that you can ask questions at any time during the presentation. You can do so in the sidebar. And we do have a polling question today that'll be coming up pretty early on in the presentation, so keep your eyes open for that so you can submit your vote. Without any further ado, Scott?
Hi, Kristen. Thank you very much. And hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We always appreciate your investment of time and try to make valuable use of your precious time. And we often try to delight our customers, and we're delighted you're here. So thank you. I want to mention briefly, Kristen mentioned the webinars. We've been doing monthly webinars for 5 years now, and many of those, most of those, are actually published out here on our website. Many of those are out there on Integro.com. If you just go to recorded webinars and presentations, you will see a large trove of great material that is very much meant to educate and enable, not selling and feature function, that kind of thing. And we had a really good webinar last month. We also did jointly with IBM on structured data and unstructured data and managing all in one place. So thank you for joining us today. Today we have an excellent presentation featuring Jeff Dunning, Vice President here at Integro, and Michael Kincaid joining us with the IBM Watson Group. And they're going to be sharing with you about content enrichment. And all of you, and all the people that didn't join too, have too much content and too much to manage, and it's hard to manage that content until it's properly tagged and enriched with metadata. So that's what we're going to be learning about today, and how Integro and IBM can work with you to make your content more actionable and valuable. So Jeff Dunning is going to start off and speak to the value of content enrichment. Michael's going to do a demo and speak to more on these topics and the kind of enrichment we can do. We're going to focus a little bit more heavily on documents today, since most of you, that is the #1 use case, and most of our clients are really focused on documents. But I will tell you, the video and audio demos are really, really cool. So if you are using customer care audio recordings, or if you have video and you want to see how we can enrich that and enable that in Box as well, please reach out for a demo and we'll show that to you. So Jeff, I'm going to hand it off to you, and you can take it from here, please.
Great. Thanks, Scott. And we'll get started here. So we all know about the rapid growing volumes of data that organizations have, and the many obstacles that imposes these organizations. But there's definitely ways we can get more out of our content. The problem is it's getting increasingly difficult, time-consuming, and expensive to make that happen. Our content needs to be tagged so we can leverage that content in business processes, we can gain value from that content, and we can also govern that content. But the real problem is we cannot burden or trust our users to do this for us. So before we get started here, let's do a quick poll, and let's see where our attendees are on their AI journey, and kind of get a feel for where everybody's at with AI within their organization. Some organizations may already be doing some of this. However, we're seeing that many organizations are trying to figure out where they should go with AI in their business today. AI and machine learning has been a buzzword for a long time, but investments that companies like IBM and Box are making around technology is giving us opportunities to use this in real business scenarios. And that's definitely increasing. So, and it looks like from the results that we're seeing on the screen there, that's where we're at. We got quite a few companies, more than I really thought, that are already using it, which is nice. And, but a good portion of us are are planning on putting it into place or really trying to get our arms around it. It's a major topic. There's a lot out there, and it can be quite overwhelming to really embark on these types of business opportunities that this holds for us. So let's look at this a little bit more and say, okay, why should we spend our time and money to enrich our content? Why is this important to us? The possibilities of how this can help your organization are just expanding every day, just keeps going. Increase findability. Make the switch from browse to search. This is important with a changing workforce that's accustomed to searching for content versus users using folders and browsing, as well as the need to present content on all kinds of devices, whether it's a mobile phone, an iPad, or desktop today. Extract information, insights, and intelligence from your content, gaining valuable business insights into content that we don't have today. We have volumes and volumes of content, and we don't have that information about it. The ability to use that content in business processes, make it actionable, allow you to kick off workflows in business processes based on metadata and tags about that content. Apply classifications for governance and retention. Base that on the content itself and the metadata of that content, not on a user's interpretation of that content. And then improve overall operational efficiencies, allowing extracted metadata and tags to drive business and process automation within organizations. And there's so much more around this. And like I said, it's changing on a rapid basis, and there's major investments being made. This data needs to be processed as it gets stored to enable the discovery of insights. So we have to go out and process this data and use machine learning at the time that data gets stored. So we're putting it in proper places, and we have those insights. And that's where Watson Skills comes in. That's what we're going to see here in a little bit. Watson Skills solves that problem, and it solves that problem at scale, right? Improving employee and team productivity, process efficiency, and then more importantly, enhancing our existing ECM investments, right? So enrich content that's in our systems already today. Let's get more out of all this content that we're spending time, energy, and money on storing and having there. Let's use it for more purposes than what we're using it today. Let's try to get more out of it. So to help this happen, for starters, it helps to frame kind of some examples before we kind of look at the technology. So these are some examples of how companies are using these technologies today, how they're enriching their content to help their business. Processing call records to look for upset customers, using sentiment type analysis, allowing customer service reps to better serve those customers, to understand who they're dealing with before they make that call back, maybe to route calls to the right reps with more experience based on the sentiment analysis of the message that was left for you. Some of the stuff we're going to see, analyzing forms like contracts, being able to extract entity information from those forms, and kick off business processes without human interaction. So getting the form and extracting information, and based on that information, it goes into a certain part of the business process, and we're able to start making that content actionable without users having to look at every form and kicking those processes off by themselves. Intelligent gain from images and assets in the field. This is more around the picture stuff and videos, where you can gain insight into those aspects and active rust patterns, maybe on power towers for an energy company, and being able to plan maintenance activities and put people in the right places at the right time to make sure you're taking care of that stuff before it becomes a bigger problem. Automate document translation tasks, allowing multi-language collaboration. In multinational companies, being able to take a document and translating into multiple languages, and then collaborating and sharing on that content. And the content keeps its form and true meaning during that translation process. And this is just, a little bit of what's available today by enriching that content that we have and the content that we're creating going forward using technologies like Watson and Box to allow that content. So at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Michael, who's going to dive in a little bit into the Watson skills offerings and its capabilities with an emphasis on document management and insights around documents. So I'm going to change the presenter here to Michael. And Michael's going to dive in a little bit more into to some of the Box offerings.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. So I want to talk a little bit about different types of content. As you guys probably know, content is getting more and more complex. We're moving from very, very simple notepad text files into Word documents, PDF documents, scanned PDFs, even images, audio, and video files, right? So the type of content is getting more complex, and the amount of content is getting more volumes as well. If you're anything like me, I've got so many files, it's so difficult to even find anything that I need. And we hear this over and over and over from, a lot of our customers. So what we're able to do is leverage different types of Watson services. We have a whole catalog of different Watson services that we can utilize to really enrich all different types of data. So this is showing you some examples of some image files, audio, video, and documents. And you can see some of the different types of services that are available and capabilities. So for example, for image files, we're able to classify those image files, extract, OCR it, and extract actual text and information. Audio files, we're able to actually transcribe some of that information to run that through our natural language understanding process for Watson and pull different topics, sentiment, and even translate it into different languages. For video, we can do face detection, same thing, sentiment analysis, as Jeff mentioned earlier. And for documents, right, anything from concepts, keywords, emotions, and we can extract specific, text and entities from those documents, which is we're going to focus our conversation a little bit more on that today. So I'm going to hit real quick some of our kind of core types of patterns that we're seeing, and I'm just going to highlight these real quick, and then we're going to jump in and spend more time actually showing you some live demos so you can see how some of these solutions actually work. Customized image insights is focused on basically taking an image and being able to have Watson look at that image and pull information off of visually what you see. What you can do is actually use those keywords now, which will be tagged as metadata, to search on that information, so you can actually make your image file searchable. Same thing with audio and video files. We take the audio from an audio or video file, and we're actually able to pull that information and transcribe it. There's some post-processing that we can do, and we can customize it based on your industry or your business. We can timestamp it, we can put speaker 1, speaker 2, we can translate it, do a bunch of different things with it, which I'll show you in just a second. And then our last pattern is around customized document insights. So this is taking a Word document, a PDF, any type of text, running it through our natural language understanding to be able to pull different types of information off of it. So with that, I'm just going to jump right in. I want to show you guys some live demos. There's a bunch of different use cases that I want to show you. But what I'm going to show you first is our customized document insight solution. This solution is specifically focused on text files. We're looking to pull information from those text files to be able to make them more searchable and enrich them and make them more consumable. So I'm going to pull over maybe actually a couple files. Actually, before I do that, let me go back and pull them in here so I can actually show you what the document looks like as it comes right out of my file here. I'll just pull 2 of these over. And I'm going to drop them into Box, which is the content manager that we're using here. You'll see these files got dropped in. As we open these files, these are just some Word documents. Some of these we pulled off of Wikipedia. you can actually see over on the details tab, once I scroll down, that at the very bottom there's no metadata tags associated with it. So this is an article about hurricanes, just some information around hurricanes. Right now, no information that's associated with it specific to metadata tags. I'm going to open one other here as well. This is actually a piece that is talking about Box and IBM Watson and how we're unveiling some of these new capabilities. Again, if you look at the bottom right, you see no metadata that is associated with it. So the way this works is we're actually able to leverage Box's user interface. We can take files and drag and drop them right into Box. The idea is it's business as usual. We're trying not to change your processes. We want to leverage your existing process steps, just like you're doing today. If I can grab this file, so that the information or the process steps that you're doing, the way you're doing it today, doesn't change, right? So we want to basically take that same process. All right, come on. If I can drag it in. All right, let me try this. All right. There we go. So I'm going to take both those files, simply drag them into the Box folder. We'll grab this one first. This is the article on hurricanes. Once you get the green ribbon in Box that shows that it's uploaded, you can go right into that file, and you'll actually see something different here on the right-hand side. So this middle looks like a wand is actually called a skill. Box has a new framework that they're launching that's a Box Skills Kit. That what it does is as you drag and drop it into a folder, this folder is pre-enabled with a Box custom skill. It triggers a Watson event in the background. And now what Watson has done is it has read this article, right? And it's brought back a bunch of different metadata and information. So a couple things that it's doing here. The first thing that we pull back are concepts. So concepts are being able to read through a document. It's different than keywords because these words do not have to be mentioned in the article, but it's reading it and understanding what the article is about, and it's pulling those information into this concepts field. Keywords, and by the way, all of this, anything that goes into metadata, which Watson is pulling, is now searchable and consumable. So you can actually use the native Box search functionality to be able to go in and search on any of this information, which makes it a lot more searchable to be able to find your content. Keywords is just that. As you go through the articles, Watson is pulling out some keywords. Again, this can be customized to your business based on what you're looking for out of the articles. And Attendees is actually pulling specific information, so natural events, locations, organization. And this is something that you can go in and customize and say, hey, out of this article, I want these 5 pieces of data or information. Emotions is very granular. It's got 5 key emotions that we look at: anger, fear, disgust, sadness, and joy. This is about hurricanes, so most of it is around sadness and fear. And sentiment is a little bit higher level than emotions. It shows you if it's positive, neutral, or negative. This can be used really well, for example, for call center calls to understand the sentiment at the beginning of an audio call versus the end of an audio call. And categories, we've got a whole list of public categories that you can use to be able to process your files. And you can use them to actually shift files into different folders, which gets into some of the automation that we'll show in just a second. So these are some of the things that you can do with customized document insights. I'll show you maybe a couple of others just to kind of highlight some of the capabilities, and then we're going to come back to the documents in just a second. So this is looking at images. If I go in here and take a look at some of our images, right now the only thing that is searchable in Box is the name of a file for an image. So as you can probably see, I name my files in a very detailed manner. Image 002, pic 005. You guys probably do the same thing, I imagine. But Watson, as soon as it's uploaded to this folder, it triggers a Watson service in the background. And now all of these images have metadata tags associated with it. So this one has tagged this image with nature and waterfall. So now you can actually search on the information based on what the image is about. You'll see in this one, Watson is actually able to recognize that Mandalay Bay is a hotel casino, right? Casino building. It's got some blue colors, and you can customize it based on what type of information you're looking for. This is really useful, for example, if you've got a bunch of media, if you've got marketing information that you're trying to be able to search on, pull information up, tower, Eiffel Tower, different colors, that type of thing. I'm going to show you just real quick. Audio analysis is a different capability, and by the way, we can actually do audio or video, but we're able to pull different types of information. I'll show you a quick video right here. Watson, upon upload again, is able to pull down information. You see a different set of skills on the right-hand side now. These are the transcripts that we talked about earlier. The great thing is you can actually click on a point, and it's going to take you straight to that. Watson automatically adds closed captioning at the bottom. You can see some of the additional services here. We've taken that transcript and translated into Spanish, and then we've run it through our natural language understanding, so you get some of the same things that you saw from a text perspective, some of the keywords, some of the emotions, some of the concepts. And you can actually click on a keyword, and it'll actually bring up every time that keyword is mentioned. So for example, this one's mentioned 3 times. Anytime that word is mentioned, it's going to bring it up on a timeline at the bottom. You can fast forward to that specific point and see exactly when that text was mentioned. So you see here the enhancement pipeline that just popped up. So a lot of powerful things. If you think about, for example, education, right? If you're going to educate some of your team, being able to educate them and be able to go straight to a point in a file, an audio file or a video file, take them straight there to be able to show some different information. I'm going to go back real quick. We want to talk a little bit more about documents. So I'll go back. Actually, let me take this Olympic Games. So again, Watson service, as soon as you drag and drop it, it's uploaded. You get the green tag that it was successful. Watson is processing it right now, and you can see in just a split second what's happened is this is our document translation service. So it took basically a Word document, and take a look at the title, the information. It's got embedded images. It's got different types of information here, tables, right? All this is in English. What Watson has been able to do is to be able to translate that. We've got this set on French. You can do Spanish. You can do a bunch of different languages, but it's preserved the format of the file. So all the information has been translated, but it's preserved the format, which is key here because now you can take documents. Think about if you've got a team globally, if you got communications that you need to send to different countries. You don't want to just copy and paste it into a translator, right? You want to actually just take the entire document and switch it over. I'm going to show you one more quick demo here. This is one of our customers had a use case where they want us to be able to extract specific information off of forms. So this is a loan application process. Where they've got a bunch of different forms. They've got actually hundreds of different forms that they've asked us to go in and be able to process it for them. So I'm going to take a form, and you can actually take a bunch of different forms, but a couple forms, you drop them in to this source folder. This source folder actually triggers the event from a Watson perspective. You see they've successfully uploaded. Now, Watson in the background is doing its thing. It's looking at these forms. It's figuring out what's on these forms. It's extracting specific entities. And then based on that information, it's actually able to figure out the type of form it is. It categorizes that different type of loan. And then what it's going to do is it's going to sort it into different locations based on that. So if we open up the file right now, you'll see in details, there's no metadata associated with it. So Watson's able to take a look at it. it can OCR these forms, look at the information, extract specific information on those forms, and then based on the form type, it's able to go in, sort it, and move it to different folders for you so that it can kick off a workflow process from there. Let me refresh here and pull one more down. So a lot of different features from an automation perspective, right? And the idea is to make it very seamless to the user so that from a end user perspective, you're just using Box Business as usual. These trigger events happen in the background. And as these events happen, it's improving your searchability, as well as it's able to kick off automation, reduce repetitive types of motion and information to be able to process some of this information even more quickly for you. So with that, I'm going to switch back over here. And a couple of the key differentiators we have, and I want to save a couple minutes at the end for Q&A. Key differentiators that we have is building custom solutions for your business, right? We can customize based on your business, based on your industry. Enterprise-grade artificial intelligence, you're getting IBM, right? You're getting Watson. We've been, the biggest name from an enterprise perspective in artificial intelligence. Security, we've got world-renowned security on our side, as well as the reason we partnered with Box is they've got, they're the best in the business from a security perspective for cloud content management. And another key one is your data is your data, right? So we take your data and we do not train on it. As soon as we process it, we delete it. So your data is not used for any other models that we train on any other customers. You own your model, you get to keep it, it's your IP. And we talked about it's integrated in the way you work. So the idea is seamless user interface. Business as usual, the way you work, you drag and drop files into folders. It kicks off events in the background, and all that information is now searchable and consumable. So let me pause here, and I'm going to turn this back over to Scott for Q&A session.
Hit the unmute button. Michael, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And a lot of ground to cover in a half an hour, and you flew through there. We appreciate it. And it really is important for everybody to understand a couple things of what happened there. As Michael or your users just drag and drop or upload a file to a folder, it will automatically then go into be analyzed by Watson, and the results come back and be populated there in Box for that automated workflow, et cetera. So thank you very much, Michael. If you have any questions, please go ahead and enter them on the side there. We do have a couple there about security of data. All this data is going over the wire here out to the cloud. Michael, do you want to speak to the security of the data?
Yeah, security is a big thing. So when we partnered with IBM, when IBM partnered with Box, one of the reasons that we wanted to partner with them is, like I said, they are the #1 top security content manager in the world. We bring world-renowned security from an enterprise perspective. So it was a really good match. The reason why the financial sector is so heavy into Box is because of their security, right? They trust their data going into the cloud, and Box has about every certification that you can imagine. And as we partnered with them, they put us through a security review. I personally went through it, and it was detailed. We spent a couple weeks in a security review because they wanted to make sure that information that was shared between your customer information that goes back and forth between IBM and Box is secure through that whole process. So security is absolutely #1 thing that we are focused on to make sure that your data is stored in a secure fashion all through this process.
Thank you, Michael. And that brings us to 1:30. There are other questions. We'll try to follow up with individuals on their questions directly. And everybody, we really appreciate your attending. And Michael, thanks for joining us to co-present with Jeff Dunning. And Jeff, thank you for your time in presenting today. Everybody have a great day, and thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.